Good evening, everybody. Bonsoir, bonsoir. Thanks for joining me. If you tuned into the my live at the Township, excuse me, the Township meetings earlier this evening. Before it gets too late, I just wanted to quickly give my take on the meeting. I'm gonna pull up my video as well. Hey Javar, how are you? Good evening, good evening. So were you guys able, excuse me, were you guys able to tune in earlier to the Township meeting? All right, so I had gotten there. There was a budget. There were budget hearings, and then there was a special board meeting. So I had gotten there a little bit late.
History, but a reflection of our values, foresight, and our commitment to responsible and responsive public. I'm sorry. But that's so the budget.
So when I got there, I guess they were in the hearing for, I think it was the Road and Bridge Fund. But it was interesting because when I came in, excuse me, folks on the board were just, it sounds like they must have had public comment where people were critiquing, how the board was spending money and how they weren't being transparent and taking enough feedback on the budget, because the comments coming from the trustees were very defensive towards, saying, oh, but we need to spend this money because it's improving things and blah, 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 blah. So that's the first thing that I heard when I came in.
Right now, I'll just speak to
and I also have to say I really disagree with the placement. Like, it's fine if they want to set up the table or whatever and on that side of the room, but they've got to move the people closer. Then, like, I'm sorry, but we're way too far away. And when you're trying to film, it's just it's hard to get good. It's hard to hear very well, I find, in that room, but it's also hard to see. So again, I don't know. It just reminds me of how these people are like afraid of us. We're the ones in charge. We're the ones that are being that they're supposed to be handling the township government on our behalf. And it's like they want to keep us out. I don't agree with that. I think they need to be closer. And if they can't figure it out that way, then they need to move the room back around so it was like how they used to have it for the meetings.
It's in guidelines. Things have been, the grants and things like that, they have been anticipated for, which has to be done.
I concur with my counterpart. Thank you, excuse me. I'm new to this, as all of you know. And I'm proud to be here. I'm proud to be here with everyone that is sitting here.
See how, and to the Thornton Township trustees and the supervisor, Mr. Harris, it appears the way you are setting things up, the way you're conducting yourselves, on every level, it looks like you are afraid of the people. It looks like you are looking down on the people. It looks like you're trying to keep us at bay. And because we literally can't even see or hear you that well. So, big thumbs down on that. You can barely even hear Miss Mary when she is speaking. Also, once again, we saw how quiet everyone was on that board, and these were the people that were yelling and all, you know, enthusiastic about critiquing Tiffany's spending down to the penny. But when we're telling them, well, we need to see more information about how you want to spend the money, and why are you rushing to pass these budgets? They had only defensive comments to make, and they voted everything through anyway. Hey, Saint Sinner. Woo-hoo.
Presentation of the budgets regarding the tentative budgets for the general assistance and general fund.
So that's Miss Casey Nesbitt. She is the new clerk. She also serves on District 152 school board. That was the board that I ran for in April. And I very, very much disagree with how that board handles their finances. I don't find them to be transparent or communicative either. We still have not gotten all the answers about how $1.5 million worth of chicken wings got stolen. They blamed one woman. And I'm sorry, but that can't steal $1.5 million worth of chicken wings, you know, on your own. Someone on that board has to know information, and one of those people may be Miss Nesbitt, but we've never gotten it. We need much more clarity on that.
Public comments up to now. So I will also just like to remind you that each person gets 3 minutes. That your
as much as the loan payment from last year, from $950,000 to $3.1 million. Now, according to the budget from last year, there were actually 2 loan payments on the books. One from, I believe it was 2022, and one from 2014.
Oh my God. This meeting room is going to drive me crazy. I apologize to you guys for the videos. I didn't know, like, the audio was so bad. I mean, it wasn't the clearest in the room live, but like, this is horrible. Come on, Township board, like, you need to fix this. This is horrible. You could hear better and see better when Tiffany was supervisor.
We're paying off of it. This is general loan payment. And lastly, going to the general fund. Oh, and also the general fund with the unaccounted money, $252,500. So we're looking at close to, and like I said,
next we have Paul Roberts.
I'll pass.
So that was so hard to hear. Gardis, I think I liked his second comment. It was really good. I hope that one
Thank you
you're better.
for the last meeting.
This is Alicia.
Those explanations. Hearing explanation makes it easier to digest these numbers. Again, I mean, I understand this is the administration. We're coming off of, like, who knows.
So bad. I'm so sorry, you guys. The audio is horrible.
The one to answer, you were the finance director then.
And like I said, this was after I had moved closer.
I'm not used to
They need to fix that. The audio, and they need to get closer to the people.
Hi, everybody. Thanks very much for being there and doing all the work that you do.
Yeah, this lady I thought did a good job. I don't recall seeing her before, but she raised some good points. You know, she wasn't real like aggressive with it, but she raised some good points about you know, money not being spent appropriately. But yeah, I so apologize that you can't hear it. Let's see. I don't know if I remember who this lady is now.
First of all, I want to apologize for making my person, but I just relocated back here after 15 years to Chicago.
Ooh, it's horrible. I am so sorry that the audio is horrible. Like I said, it's just the setup of that room.
So look, I just want to thank you all.
And it seems
Oh,
like
there I
you're
am.
putting more effort into defending why you want more money than into saving money. People are losing their homes because they can't afford these taxes. You're gonna have to do better, especially with all the ones where you wouldn't let Tiffany have a few $100 to give seniors ice cream, but now we can afford hundreds and thousands of dollars going up and up and up and up and up and up. I mean, it doesn't make sense. So please, please, please do not vote on these budgets tonight. That's irresponsible. It's absolutely irresponsible. At least give us more time. Thank you.
So that was my comment. I said, look, we need more. At the very minimum, I highly recommend the Lansing Journal's article that they had, where they were talking about this meeting ahead of time and the 3 budgets that were voted on tonight. And I agree with the Lansing Journal. They said, you know what, at least make sure all the people's questions get answered, and consider how the Lansing Village Board does it, where first of all, they publish the budget in a very clear form online so everybody could access it, versus at the township, they made you had to go talk to the clerk and get a paper copy. It's like, what is this, 1955? Like, let's get with the times. Again, more gatekeeping. I cannot stand gatekeeping. So boo on that township board. Fix that. And but even after you make it publicly available, you take questions, you answer the questions. Even after this meeting, they should have said, okay, we're going to have time for more questions, and then we're going to come and revisit this with even more feedback at the next meeting the following month in August, and then we'll vote on the budget. And then I heard someone saying, well, they were already behind in passing revenue. It's like, oh, well, too bad. I mean, that they should have been able to prepare that. They didn't even change the person doing the finances. They kept Robert Hunt. All the months that these people moaned and bitched and whined and complained about Robert Hunt, saying that he was doing a horrible job and Tiffany was using him to steal money and make things look bad and manage things poorly. So then why is he still in his job? Like fire him and hire someone else. So it just was really, I'm not impressed with this board's honesty, transparency. What they're doing versus what they're saying is not matching up. Graham comes up, bless her heart, but remember, Miss Graham is just being a cheerleader for Napoleon on the board and saying, oh, you guys are doing great, and you can't help that costs have gone up, and you should vote for the budget immediately. Like the opposite of what I had just said. I said, you need to not vote on these budgets. Wait, give us more information, give us more time to ask questions, answer the FOIAs, let us know what's going on. And so she came up and basically said the opposite. Oh, the board's doing a great job. You should pass it tonight. Don't wait. But remember, Miss Graham is very close with Napoleon Harris. So I understand, obviously, she's just going to say whatever, Napoleon wants to do. So, I mean, I don't, take that for what it's worth, I guess.
But I try not to say anything.
$77,477.
And then Robert Hunt does this a few times. Have we learned nothing from the days of Tiffany Henyard? So he reads. It's like, again, gatekeeping. They're trying to scare us away. Now they're trying to bore us to death. So Robert Hunt reads financial information in this monotone voice for the whole time. Blah 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 blah. I was like, oh my God, like, could we even find like a better way, a more engaging way of presenting this? It should all be available online. It should all be something you could bring up easily on your phone. If it weren't for the Lansing Journal posting these budgets online, I don't even know if many people would have even seen them at all or had any chance to see them ahead of time. So just, very, very simple things that the board could fix here to invite more engagement.
1,913,200. any budget, and if you don't sit,
Oh my God, he's still reading.
Share hunt for bridging the gap and standing in the gap and allowing us to.
29 million over last year. $600.
Wow. So yeah, it's total snooze fest, you know. You got to figure out a more engaging way to present the numbers. But then my question is, okay, well, do they want to engage anyone? Do they want to engage us as the residents? From everything else I'm seeing, no. They want people to
We didn't
tune
have
out.
that
They want to
information.
gatekeep. They want to scare
Focus
people
is
away.
on you. It's not on anybody on this board. It's on the residents and it's on the citizens.
And then it seemed like, to me, it seemed like there was another, it seemed like they had another meeting before the meeting where, you know, every time people in public comments would complain about like, hey, we're not seeing how you guys are spending the money, or you're spending too much money, then they would take turns, the trustees would take turns saying, well, actually, no, it's not true. And like, I remember Ms. Stubbs said, oh, well, that's inflation. And that's why we have to pay more. But that's not accurate, because inflation alone does not explain all the huge cost increases that they just passed in these budgets. You know, or they'd say other things like you heard Chris Gonzalez say, like, it's about the people, it's about the people. But to me, it just sounded very rehearsed. It sounded like talking points that they didn't mean, and things that where they were just trying to appease people, just to say, oh, shut up, go away, let us pass the budget so we can get our money. So remember, we still have the unanswered questions of why Napoleon is paying himself 6 figures for a salary when he should not be making that. The trustees allegedly are making more than they're supposed to make. They wouldn't speak on any of that. Napoleon, though, I do have to give him credit in that at least he spoke at all. You know, the first 2 meetings, I feel like he barely said anything and you could barely hear him. You still couldn't hear people very well this time around, but he did speak more. Unfortunately, when he did, he was just trying to delegitimize any criticism of how the board was spending money or talking about the budget, and basically say that we shouldn't argue, we shouldn't ask questions. Okay, that's the understood what was saying, you know. Well, we don't want any disagreement. That's why we all come here and we're all in agreement. And, you know, we should just all work together, you know, and that's code for you should sit down and shut up, don't ask questions, just take the budget, take the budget as we want it. And that's not acceptable. So boo, boo.
And you know, with all that being said,
So Chris talks a little bit.
Disappointed but not surprised that they voted to approve all the budgets with huge budget increases and no clear explanations for why all that would be necessary, especially after the months and months of shouting and, you know, raucous behavior towards spending by
Tiffany Heinier, right? That's what I said. So Tiffany, they didn't want Tiffany to be able to spend much of anything because they said there wasn't enough accountability. Now we still don't have accountability at all. We get at most some vague numbers with vague descriptions of where this money is how the tax money is supposed to be used. And then you notice every person on that board up there is silent. I'm like, you guys are the ones that were yelling and shouting and carrying on and doing all this stuff. Like, what the hell? Like, why are you all so quiet now? They barely even look at the people. They're staring at their notes the whole time. They all voted. They had unanimous votes on everything. In general, whenever you have a lot of mostly or all unanimous votes, to me, that's typically a bad sign, especially when, you know, we're having a lot of other issues with transparency with this board. So again, I'm thinking, okay, we definitely had a meeting before the meeting. We definitely were coaching people in how to vote, and you know, it appears that there was all these things were planned ahead of time. I want to see disagreement in the meeting. I 100% disagree with Napoleon. We should be able to debate and talk and disagree about these things and at least to know like where our money's going. But there was no disagreement from the board. Everybody was just saying how bad we were for asking questions. Again, how basically we should just shut up and accept the budget as they want it. Bad job. Or fail.
Thanks for joining us. Do not disengage. Please stay engaged with
Well, then we had a little break. Then we come back to the special meeting.
Even give your political platform in the public.
Oh, let me see if we can hear Gardis. Gardis, I think, should win the award for best comments for this portion of the meeting. He did a killer job. It was amazing.
Trustees, administrators, and residents. What we have here is nothing that really surprises you at all.
Oh, Gardis,
It's
speak into the
unfortunate
mic.
that
Go,
this
sir.
township continues to get a bad name in the news and handling of its resources. But resources that is supposed to provide for those most in need, but instead we get that a certain political figure continues to garner the unmerited salary of a previous supervisor. And while this is not legally wrong, thanks to the supervisor's slick political maneuvering as a state senator, this does not restore the trust or confidence of the president.
Hopefully, can you guys hear? I hope you can hear
The
Gardis.
majority
Okay.
of the 11% of voters in the last election look to you to not just replace a bad administration, but to make substantial changes to bring this township back to what it was originally built for, to service the needs of those who most need it. Frank Zuccarelli turned this township into a super PAC.
Yeah.
Timothy Hayner made it a party. And now the current supervisor wants to make it a currency exchange to cash his check.
Oh, get him, Gardis.
Unfortunately, the electorate has to bear the responsibility because the collective does not have an understanding of politics. The supervisor took advantage of a dire situation from the last administration's chaos. You turned down every offer to debate or even give your political platform in the public setting. You just basically ran off the strength that.
That's absolutely true, remember? So he's criticizing Napoleon and his slate. They didn't want any debate or discussion or answer any questions. They just expected to be elected because they were running under the Democratic machine's endorsement.
Come on.
You're not taking it. Many voters in the last election just decided to vote for the lesser of two evils, not knowing that the lesser of evil is still evil.
Lesser of evil is still evil. I agree.
Property taxes are sky high.
Yep, you sure are.
Republicans are destroying the national politics, and Democrats are destroying the local.
Nailed it. You know what? Gardis did such a good job. Like, I should reach out to him because his comments alone were just like, that was just enough for the night. Like, he did amazing. He said Republicans are destroying national politics and the Democrats are destroying the local politics, you know, because they're right on a lot. Like, I agree with the Democrats on a lot of the social issues, you know, like, yeah, they're more likely to defend, you know, minorities, including, you know, gay people like myself. They're more likely to defend like social programs, which is great. But at least in Cook County and in Illinois in general, there's so much corruption that we still aren't getting what we should get from our government because there's just so much misappropriation and stealing money, and it's crazy. So,
Absolutely.
We've been given budget proposals with no clarity. We still have not seen the forensic audit of the finances. And we sit back and watch a township supervisor make more money than the governor of the state.
right. Supervisor makes more money than the governor of the state. Isn't that crazy?
Are being spent because of the cost of living, because the people of this township are the ones that need a raise and not.
Very good, Gardis. You get the award. I have to message him to find out. So, oh, actually, no, I forgot about Jen.
I think that there were some hopeful things I'm gonna have to say. And I must say that I'm not here to be liked, but I'm here to be heard. So my comment is to you, Supervisor Harris. What motivated you to seek the supervisor position of Thornton Township? Was it solely for the six-figure compensation, or did you feel a sense of entitlement to become the most powerful figure in the Southland?
Get him.
Your substantial township salary allocates tax dollars away from supporting needy residents and an overtaxed area experiencing rapid population decline. Those who can afford to leave Thornton Township are doing so, while those who cannot are struggling. I do not intend to come across as overly critical. However, since you become supervisor, and even prior to that, transparency has been lacking. Instead, I have observed a continuation of the same practices since during the caucus, which you established to ensure your appointment without opposition or public input. Aside from photo opportunities,
So she nailed him on the caucus again. Remember how that whole thing was set up? So that Napoleon could and his slate could take the nomination, and then no one else even had a chance. So good job, Jennifer.
Interaction with residents have been scarce. Have you solicited our feedback? I heard you say not long ago that our questions are nonsense, and that is not good to hear. The residents did not desire a career politician. Rather, we sought someone genuinely invested in addressing our needs. We wanted an individual who would listen to our concerns.
Right.
Who will listen to our concerns and respond with tangible actions and not mere rhetoric. Supervisor Harris, and I say this with everything that's in me, you still have ample opportunity to prove to us, to prove me incorrect about everything that I just said.
I agree.
And I eagerly await seeing.
So she says, okay, all right, Napoleon and his team, right? Because to me, I also carry those criticisms to his slate, his team, because all those people that ran for that board aligned themselves with Napoleon. She's saying, all right, well, you know what? Prove me wrong.
That you do so. Thank you. We have come to you personally and wanted to ask you questions, but you have not. We need that interaction from you. The next
Great job. I remember what Paul said. And I'm going to tell Gardis right now. He did such a great job.
Tell Paul.
My comment this evening is about the attorneys. Immediately after being sworn in, the new board voted unanimously to appoint Bert Wilson and Steve Blagozinski as the township attorneys. Perhaps their entire law firms are appointed to represent.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. Boo on the township board. Audio, the placement, everything is just horrible.
It is illegal to harass, threaten,
like I said, I had already moved up closer. They started me off. They was like, oh, you have to be in the back. It's just like really horrible audio. Then Vivian comes up and she talks about bullying. And, I've already had one person commenting on this video on Facebook trying to tell Vivian to stop talking about her illness. That is not your business or anybody's business. She can talk about what she wants to talk about. And she's experiencing, I've seen it, she's experiencing real harassment and bullying online. And it's not for anybody else to tell her, what to talk about or not to talk about in relation to her illness or her health. That's up to her. So, stop bullying in general. Don't bully me. Don't bully Vivian. Don't bully anybody.
1.5. It is illegal to harass, threaten, or intimidate someone online, especially when it's repeated and intentional. When I first started this fight for Dalton, that's where it all began. We didn't know what was going on. When I helped Tiffany Hilliard with her campaign.
Okay, so then she was talking a little bit about, the history there, but basically the big thing from her message was like, people stop bullying. Also, on the queue, she did well too. I'm sorry, I forgot about her comments. Let me see if I can catch a little bit of hers.
Or exposing to the public via the agenda a budget. At least the last administration had the audacity to tell the public about a budget. You also commented to Ben Bradley that a workman is worthy of his hire. Loosely, it's a quote from the Bible. I will direct you to a more befitting passage. The steps of a good man are ordered by God. Should be assessed. Lastly, to the board, remember you all were elected in your own right, your own merit. I want you to remember, why did you agree to join this team? Did you join for status or notoriety? Did you join to be famous or infamous? The choice is yours.
Very good. Did you join to be famous or infamous? No, she did a good job in her comments too. I totally forgot. There was this lady, I think she was bringing up mental health stuff. Then this other lady again, she did a pretty good job, asking for basic accountability. What else? I don't remember what this lady said. Oh, there was me again. I forget. What did I say the second time?
Not there to enrich yourselves. You're there. We need the services. No one's against the services, but people can't afford to live in their homes. How many more people do you want to see move to Indiana? I mean, we will not survive as a region. When I taught at Thornton, I was telling my kids, hey, you're going to come back to Harvey, and help. And they were like, no way, we're going to get out of here. We don't even want to be in this area. So, I mean, that's what we're facing. I wanted to bring up the WTM report about salaries, about those being too high. So that needs to be addressed. What is the legality of the salaries in those issues? Instead of the tax refund, I was going to suggest just spend the public money wisely and then decrease everybody's tax rates. And you don't have to worry about a refund. For the travel, this reminds me of District 152. I brought up these same points, and Ms. Nesbitt is also on that board. Again, I'm not against professional development, but who's going? What's the cost? And why can't you do some remote learning? Like, why do you guys have to go to these hotels?
And I brought up that same thing when I was running for District 152. They love to pay for all these trips and conferences, and I'm sorry, but they should be pinching pennies, okay? Unless you're talking about helping people with food or with their utilities or something like that, you don't need to. This is just a township board. You don't have to go to fancy conferences to know how to run a township.
And what are you paying? For the credit card policies, what is that? All the resolutions should be posted online prior to each meeting because we don't even know what you're voting on. I suggest from now on just having basic levels of funding until the audit is complete. All of you yelled and screamed and criticized for months, saying that we had to clean up and figure out where all the money is. But now that you're in office, you're not doing that. You're rushing to vote and spend money, and it's not right. I suggest in the meantime, if you do need more money, just take it for some of the salaries you increased. And my final question is, I live here in Harvey, Illinois. You can always come visit my house.
But do you?
Do you?
Thank you. Next up is Dan Legal.
Some people say, ooh. I mentioned that because as a reminder, I've said it many times online. I said it when I did not endorse Napoleon Slate for these positions. I knew that this would happen. I knew that they would not follow through. And they never really even had a platform anyway. They just sort of like wanted to go back to the Zuccarelli days. And he also did a lot of wasting money and things were not done correctly. But remember, Napoleon lives in Flossmoor, which is not in Thornton Township. Napoleon Harris. It's very well documented. Just Google it. I don't even have to go into it. Just Google it. He does not live in Thornton Township. He should not even be able to be supervisor. It's totally ridiculous, you guys. Okay, then Dan Lee spoke. Yeah, he did pretty decent too. Oops. Come on. That lady, I never heard her speak, but she did pretty well too, actually. I think that's basically it, guys. I don't want to belabor it. So, but yeah, my takeaways were I'm extremely disappointed, but not surprised that that the township board um, they passed the three budgets for the road and bridge, the general assistance fund, I think, and then the general fund. I think those are the three. So we didn't get to see the budgets ahead of time like we should have. We didn't get our questions answered ahead of time. They didn't give us enough time to not only look at the budget, but to ask questions, to give feedback, and then to take the feedback. Remember, you don't just listen to people, and people say, you should change this budget. You're paying way too much money. And you just say, oh, thank you for your feedback. No, you take the feedback. You change, you alter the budget, you republish it, and you say, okay, all right, everybody, how is this? You respond to your constituents. So they should have done that and allowed more time, and then had the vote next month for these budgets. They unfortunately, the board refused to listen to anyone who was criticizing about any of the spending, about leaving more time before the budget was passed. They passed all three budgets. They approved the conferences or whatever. We don't know how much money they approved for those, or who's going, or what that consists of. Just way too many unanswered questions. So people, stop giving the Thornton Township Board. Do not give this slate don't give them the time of day. Don't cut them slack. We don't need to coddle them. Most of them have experience being on one board or another. So they're not new to politics. They should know what to do. And I think for me, the best comment, or some of the most interesting, was Napoleon actually did give public comment at the end. And one of the things that he said something like, oh yeah, don't fight, don't argue, because we should be united, which, like I said, that's code for just sit down and shut up and just take the budget that we want, because we want our money. But he said something about, what was that? He said, don't fight. Let's all come, be in agreement, which is like, okay, but that's not democracy. Like we want our voices heard too, not just yours. What did he say? Oh shoot. It just is on the tip of my tongue. Oh, okay, I remember. He said, well, a lot of you talked about the audit. Remember, they had no information. We still haven't seen a forensic audit. They don't even talk about it. Like, what in the HELL? Like, all those months of, oh my God, constant, yelling, shouting, complaining, posting on social media about, we need an audit at the township. What's Tiffany doing with our money? And now they're in and they don't want to talk about an audit. So Napoleon actually comes out tonight and says, well, you guys talk about an audit, but we're trying to save money. We can't afford an audit. Like, oh my freaking God. That's not how you do your finances. You take the money. Obviously, they have money because they plan to, they increased all the budgets for next year, like by crazy amounts. But you don't just take you don't just do that. You don't just increase all the budgets, start planning on spending more money. Spend the money and get the forensic audit done immediately. You start out by figuring out, well, what do you have? And then they were complaining and trying to blame some stuff on Tiffany as well. But again, that's even more reason to do the forensic audit. Figure out where your finances stand. Figure out what money is in what accounts, and all that should be shared publicly. None of that is confidential. It's all public money. They're all public funds. We shouldn't even have to FOIA. We should have all that on the township website. You should be able to log on to the township website and see all the bank statements for all the accounts that are used. You should be able to see all the minutes. You should be able to see all the budgets. Everything should be online. Let's we have the technology to do this. And if they're saying, oh, it's too much work, well, for instance, even just the clerk, Casey Nesbitt, she works as clerk for the township. She's on the 152 school board, and I believe she has also a full-time job. We know Napoleon he doesn't even live in the township, but also he's the Democratic committeeman for the township. He's an Illinois state senator, and now he has this job. So he has 3 jobs. If you guys, as the board, if you can't get this stuff done, maybe you should resign. Maybe you shouldn't have even run in the first place. That's why I didn't endorse you. We have way too many people doing too much, doing multiple jobs, and especially if you guys are mentioning that as an excuse of why we're not getting the information that we need, or we're not getting a forensic audit done. It's don't blame it on the cost, Napoleon. That's not an issue. You can obviously afford your high 6-figure salary, right? So I mean, if that's it, like I said, if that's really an issue, like I said in my public comment, take the money from your salary and pay for that forensic audit. But we are the public, it's our money. We deserve to at least know where we stand financially as a township. So they need to get that done immediately, and have a basic funding level for everything in the township. Do not increase anything. Keep it just at a very, very basic level. Look at any way possible to save money, because we're getting taxed out of our homes, okay? This is a crisis economy, especially for the Southland. This is not a time to say, ooh, cool, everybody, salary increases for everybody. Woo, okay. Now, if you supported us during the election, we're going to hire you. We're going to hire your brother. We're going to hire your cousin. No, that's not what this is for. So I have a feeling we're in for more of the same cronyism and patronage jobs and nepotism, the same stuff we saw under Zuccarelli, and really the same stuff we saw under Tiffany. The only difference is that the meetings are just a little quieter, because maybe the personalities are a little different, but they're doing the same stuff, you guys. So please come out to meetings, speak up, vote, comment on social media, post on social media. If you see someone that says, oh, Napoleon's doing such a great job, or Clerk Nesbitt, or this trustee is doing such a great job, they're so transparent, that, please get on there if you can, correct a lie and say, really? So where are the receipts? Where's all the information for the bank accounts? How many accounts do we have? Where are they? Where are the bank statements? Why weren't we given proper time and feedback taken for the budget? I mean, there's just so many unanswered questions, and these people that are on this board are the same ones that were going nonstop after Tiffany Henyard and saying how horrible she was and how there was no transparency. We didn't have an audit, and now they're on the board. There's no transparency, and we don't have an audit. So what is different? Maybe the faces have changed. Not even all the faces, because Chris Gonzalez is still on the board, but what's really different? Other than maybe personalities being a little different, this is not accountable government. It's not transparent. It's not the government that I want. Is it the government that you want? You're barely able to pay your bills and afford your taxes, but they come in and they just approved tonight new budgets where they're increasing. They're paying more and more and more for all sorts of stuff. A lot of stuff we don't even know what it is. I mean, come on, no, absolutely 2 thumbs down. Horrible job, Thornton Township Board. You need that transparency. Get your act together. And when you do talk, like, at least they did speak a little bit more. The board spoke a little bit more during the meeting, but don't be a-holes that are talking down to the residents and saying, like, well, we need to all agree, and you guys shouldn't be negative, and and this is why we need your money. We need to take more of your money because of this. Like, to me, it was very defensive. It was very talking down to the residents. We're your bosses, and we're doing everything we can to stay in our houses with these super high taxes. So, you have a lot to make up for and a lot to change. Anybody else want to add any comments or questions? Otherwise, that's it. I just wanted to give my take on the meeting tonight. So I guess that since they decided they don't want to have 2 meetings during the summer, even though they were just bitching and moaning about how there's so many backlogged FOIAs and there's so much work to do and everything. So you would think that we should be having 2 meetings during the summer, because if there's so much mess to clean up after Tiffany, then why are you all on vacation and having only 1 meeting, per month for the summer? But again, this is the inconsistency that we're talking about from this board. They want to blame Tiffany, for the problems, yet the things that we would expect them to do to fix them, they're not doing. We have no audit. We have no transparency. We don't even get the packets, the information packets of what they're supposed to be voting on. I'm not talking about just the agenda now. I'm talking about the actual packets of what are the proposed budgets, ordinances, resolutions that are going to be voted on before the meeting. They can't even share that. You guys are inept. Come on, get it together. Like, again, what the hell? You crucified Tiffany for months for doing things way less than this. So I'm sorry, but this is not acceptable. You guys, I expect more from you. Most of you have experience on boards, so you get a 2 thumbs down. But as Mrs. Roberts said, I agree. Surprise me, surprise us. We expect a corrupt machine to continue running Thornton Township, and I think everybody should keep the pressure on so that so that it's not corrupt. But at the same time, to Napoleon and the board, surprise us. Make us out to prove us wrong. So with that, I will bid you all good night, and I'll give you, I don't really have any huge Harvey updates. I'm still working on editing a new interview, and I'll be sharing that shortly. But otherwise, you guys have a wonderful evening, and we'll talk soon. Au revoir.